Hello everybody. Welcome to the session on statement and assumption. This is a topic in the area of critical reasoning. We will try to understand what is the meaning of an assumption, and then we will try to find out what are the various types of statements and questions that are possible under this topic. And also, of course, the most important thing, how do we identify the right answer from this particular topic. So first, let's look at the slide on what are the various formats or how the question appears for you in the exam. Now in this, if you notice, there is a statement that is given for you. The statement is like this: Superman has superpowers, and he is from planet Krypton, and he has superpowers. Now the assumptions is also given for you in the questions. Like the first assumption that is given is that planet Krypton exists. And the second assumption that is given for me is there are superpowers. Now this statement is given followed by the two assumptions. Now from these statements, in these statements, we have to figure out which of the assumptions that are given here are implicit assumptions. Now what do we mean by implicit assumptions? Basically an assumption, implicit is nothing but something which is hidden or something which is given in the particular statement for me. So I am trying to just identify the statement, assumption, and from the given statement. That's how we look at this question of statement and assumption. So like I said, there is a statement that is given followed by the assumptions that are given. Now what is the meaning of a statement? Now statement is nothing but it could be a decision of the speaker or an opinion of a speaker. Basically, he is giving a narrative to somebody. So there is a speaker and he is making a statement for the purpose of transferring this information to a listener or a reader, as can be seen from the slide for you. Now from this statement, I need to figure out what is an assumption, isn't it? That's what the basic purpose of this questions are. So let's understand what is an assumption. Assumption is nothing but an idea or a belief where in the mind of the speaker when before the statement is made. So assumption, whatever are given, I would call that assumption as an implicit assumption if I can find out or if I can figure out whether the given assumption was there in the mind of the speaker before he made this statement. That is typically what is an implicit assumption. Now one critical thing that we need to note in an assumption topic is that an assumption need not be true in common knowledge. Here we are only trying to read the assumption that is given from a speaker's mindset. So I am not sure whether the speaker is having common knowledge or not. So I am not going to venture into a topic where the speaker, I am not going to judge whether the speaker is true or not. So I am going to assume whatever the speaker is going to be saying true. So that means an assumption sometimes need not be true in the common knowledge. So as I said, an assumption need not be true in common knowledge. Let's say for an example, the statement is like this, that Ramu is trying to feed grass to the tiger. Now an assumption given by the examiner is tigers eat grass. Now we know as a fact that tigers don't eat grass, but then I am not trying to look at it from my perspective. I have to look at it from the speaker's perspective. If Ramu is specifically giving grass to the tiger, that means that he believes. What does he believe? That tigers eat grass. Otherwise, there is no need for him to feed grass to the tiger. So here is this example where an assumption, what is given to me, is not true in the common knowledge, yet I would accept this as an implicit assumption. So this is exactly what I mean by an assumption need not be true in the common sense. Having understood what an assumption is, let's see what are the various types of questions that can be asked for me under the topic of statement and assumptions. I'll classify it into three types, as you can see: type 1, type 2 and type 3. Type 1, what is it? A statement is given for me followed by two assumptions. Only two assumptions are given here. So that means I have 5 standard answer choices for me. First one is that only the first assumption is an implicit assumption. The second one, it says only the second one is an implicit assumption. That means the first one is not an implicit assumption. The third one says either 1 or 2 is an implicit assumption. In this choice, what we say is both the assumptions are not simultaneously true. Only one can be always accepted. The other, if one is accepted, the other cannot be accepted. If the second is accepted, the first cannot be accepted. That is what is the choice of either or. Next, we have the fourth choice, which is neither one nor two are implicit assumption. That means both the assumptions are not implicit from the given statement. And fifth one, both the assumptions are implicit statement. This is the first type of questioning for me. The second type of questioning, again, a statement is given for me, and followed by that, I am given more than two assumptions. It can be three assumptions or more than three. Let's say there are more than two assumptions given for me. So that means I don't have any standard answer choices for all the questions. Depending on how many assumptions are true or implicit for me from the given statement, I'll have to choose the answer choice accordingly. That is my type 2 of statement and assumptions. Type 3 assumption, what is it? Here, there is a statement given. No, but followed by, there are no assumptions separately given. Then what is given? All the 5 answer choices are directly given. So a statement, or it could be a small paragraph for me, 3-4 sentences together, followed by which the 5 choices. Now I have to read these 5 choices and figure out which of these choices is an implicit assumption. Whichever is the best answer possible, I'll select that as my implicit assumption. So that choice is marked according to this type of assumption. So these are the 3 various categories under which the questions of statement assumptions can appear for me. So now we have seen what is a statement, what is an assumption, and what are the various types of questions that can be asked for me. Now, in order to ease the work for us, we have classified the statements into some standard types of statements, so that if such standard type of statement is directly given for me, I can choose the implicit assumptions quite easily. Of course, there may be some statements which are non-standard. So we will look at both the types of statements that are there. The slide tells you what are the various types of statements that we can look at it. First, we have an advertisement. Second, we have an appeal. Third, we have a notice. Fourth, we have something called as course of action. Fifth, a cause and effect. And sixth is general statement, which are non-standard in nature. These are the 6 types of statements that I can split into to understand the assumptions better. Now, let's first look at the first type of a standard statement, which is the advertisement. Now, on the screen, you can see that there is a statement given. The statement goes like this: join Institute X for bank POS coaching. We provide 2000 pages of study material. An advertisement by Institute X. So this is a type of a statement. Advertisement is nothing but a promotional technique for me to make people aware of what products and services I offer and what may be an USP, unique selling proposition of my institute or my company or my activity. Now, given this, there is a statement. The examiner might again give me assumptions. For understanding all the types of assumptions, we have just listed down the assumptions here. The first assumption that is given is there is a demand for bank POS coaching. Second, at least some student will join the institute for the bank POS coaching. The third one, students prefer a coaching institute which is in the vicinity of their houses. What is vicinity? Nearby, somewhere which is nearby to their houses. And the fourth assumption that is given for me is students prefer a coaching institute which provides 2000 pages of study material. So the 4 assumptions given for me and a statement given for me. Like I said at the beginning, we need to figure out whether these assumptions are implicit. That means whether the given assumptions are there as an idea or belief in the mind of the speaker before he made this statement. So in this example for us, who is the speaker? Institute X is a speaker because that is the one which is making the advertisement. So Institute X is a speaker. So these assumptions have to be understood from the speaker's point of view, Institute X point of view, when before the statement is made. That means before this advertisement was given. So let's try to understand each of these points now. Now, from these points, what we can identify is there are some standard implicit assumptions that we can draw on. The first type of an assumption is that the very purpose of giving an advertisement is to tell students or tell the customers that you would need this product or service. That means what is my assumption as a speaker? I assume that whatever I am offering is required by the customer or by you. In which case, what are we saying? That there is a demand for the product or service given for me. So the first assumption that is given, look at the assumption again. There is a demand for bank POS coaching. If Institute X does not believe that there is a demand for it, there is no need for advertising saying that they will provide coaching for bank POS, isn't it? So that's what we are saying. The first implicit assumption in a standard statement of advertisement is there is a demand for the product or service being advertised. The second point, let's look at it. What is it? Now, when an Institute X, the speaker in this case, is giving an advertisement, why is it giving this advertisement? Obviously, to tell people that there is a course that is offered. Now, what is the assumption that is being made by this advertisement? It believes, what does Institute X believes? That people will see this advertisement and they will come and join this institute. At least some of them, if not all of them, at least some of them. So there will be a response to the advertisement, or people will accept the product that is given. So those are the assumptions that are given. That means this is there in the mind of the speaker before he made this statement, which is an advertisement, isn't it? So let's look at the second point that is given for me as an implicit assumption in the question itself. The assumption says at least some students, look at point 2, at least some students will join the institute for bank POS coaching. Now, you may ask me a question as to what, sir, why is it necessary that by seeing the advertisement, somebody has to join? Now, please understand, we are under the topic of assumption. What did we do assumption? Again, going back to the previous point, assumption is an idea or belief in the mind of the speaker, in this case Institute X, before he made this statement. So, I have to read this assumption given in that sense, not as if I, as a listener, am reading to this statement. So, the second aspect is, yes, some people, at least Institute X believes that some people will join the course after seeing this advertisement. Hence, my second assumption is also an implicit assumption. Now, let's look at the third assumption. What is saying here? Students prefer a coaching institute which is in the vicinity of their houses. That's what is the third assumption given by the examiner for me. Now, look at it. What we are saying here. If I have to figure out whether this assumption is there in the mind of the speaker before he made this statement. If there is a reason for me to believe that speaker understands that the student prefers an institute within the vicinity, he would have mentioned about this in the advertisement. So, if he has not mentioned about it, I don't know what does the speaker believe in this case. Hence, something which is not reflecting in the statement for me, I cannot speak of, or that doesn't become an implicit assumption. Hence, the third point is not an implicit assumption. However, there is something else given in the advertisement. What? That we provide you 2000 pages of study material. Now, what is this? This is something which is highlighted in an advertisement. So, since it is highlighted in the advertisement, the speaker strongly believes that this particularly attracts its customers, in this case, the students. So, that is what is Institute X trying to figure out here. So, the fourth assumption, look at it. Students prefer a coaching institute which provide 2000 pages of study material. This is the belief of the speaker, which is Institute X. Yes, it is a belief. That is the reason why it is highlighted in the advertisement. So, whatever is highlighted in the advertisement is what is preferred by the customers, is what we can say. So, notice the 3 points of implicit assumptions that we can draw from an advertisement. First one, that there is a demand for the product or service being advertised. Second one, there will be a response, or people will buy or use the services of this institute or the company which is advertising. And the third one is that whatever is highlighted in the advertisement, according to the speaker, it is what attracts the customer. Let's say, for example, now we have Maruti, which is a very popular brand for us, right? Now, Maruti, if you notice most of his advertisements, it focuses on one aspect, that is, it highlights one aspect. Kitni deti hai mileage, right? So, what is the focal point that Maruti is trying to say? That the customers would prefer something where there is a fuel efficiency. That is the highest, according to Maruti, that is the highest preference that a person would give to, and hence that is what goes in most of its advertisement. So clear? Something which is highlighted attracts the customer according to the speaker. So this is an example of a standard statement called advertisement.